And America is back on the side of al-Qaeda. And quite frankly, it's treason. The group that has taken over, HTS, really is al-Qaeda in Iraq, in Syria. Their leader, Jolani, announced, he said, "We are the Mujahideen." This is what he said in his speech at the mosque, and we have taken over the country. This is a man who literally fought against Americans in Fallujah in Iraq War II and was sent by the leader of al-Qaeda in Iraq, then renamed the Islamic State of Iraq, Abu Bakr al-Baghdadi, to go and start the war in Syria in 2011, or to take over the war. And in fact, Victoria Nuland was the State Department spokesman at the time, or spokeswoman, and she put out a statement saying that people should know Jabhat al-Nusra is just an alias for al-Qaeda in Iraq. That's what they are, al-Qaeda in Iraq, in Syria. And American and allied support for al-Nusra and the Free Syrian Army and associated groups, Jaish al-Islam and others, back 10 years ago, it backfired, because instead of everyone marching west toward Damascus, they went east and they consolidated a state in eastern Syria, and then eventually they conquered all of western Iraq, creating the caliphate and necessitating Iraq War III. Now that was under Baghdadi, who had split from Jolani, and Jolani is now clearly under the public relations care of the West and is taking their advice to moderate his positions. However, he's now in charge of a country full of millions of Shiite Arabs and secular Sunnis, Christians of all different descriptions, and people who are certainly not going to be welcome to help rule the regime with him, and may very well be under threat. And it remains to be seen how well he will be able to control his new legions, who truly are bin Ladenite terrorists, the Mujahideen, in his own words. Listen, I'd like to go back, Pierce, to something that General Clark is probably most famous for in the world, more than even the Serbia war, is his statement from 2002 about a secret plan that he had seen in Donald Rumsfeld's Pentagon to take out 7 countries in 5 years. And that plan, that's the neoconservatives' plan. That's the Wolfowitz-Richard Perle doctrine. And it was based on the thinking of Perle and David Wormser, the clean break strategy from 1996. And what they said, it's a little bit complicated, but what they said was, Israel's problem is Hezbollah on their northern border. And what they wanted to do was dump Oslo and take the Palestinian territories. But they couldn't do that as long as they had a threat from Hezbollah on their northern border. And they said the problem is Hezbollah is armed by Iran by way of Syria. And then nonsensically, Pierce, they said the way to solve this was to get rid of Saddam Hussein, secular Sunni Saddam Hussein, the roadblock in the Shiite crescent. Get rid of him, and David Wormser and Richard Perle thought that would give Turkey and Jordan dominance over the Iraqi Shia supermajority, and then they would have the Iraqi clergy tell Hezbollah to stop being friends with Iran and be nice with Israel. Well, that didn't work at all. And Iraq War II was a disaster. It put Iran's best friends in power in Baghdad, the Supreme Islamic Council, the Dawa Party, and their great advisor, the Ayatollah Sistani. That's who rules Baghdad now because of Iraq War II. So then they launched a policy, and everyone, I beg you to read this. It's Seymour Hersh in the New Yorker magazine. It's called The Redirection, and it's from 2007. And what it is Khalilzad and Abrams, 2 card-carrying neoconservatives, they said, we screwed up. We just put Iran's best friends in power in Baghdad. Now we have to try to make up for that fact by overthrowing Bashar al-Assad in Syria. And this policy was adopted by W. Bush before Barack Obama ever came to town. And if you go back, and I document this in my previous book, Enough Already, if you go back and look at the dawn of the intervention in the Syria war in 2011 and 12, it was the neoconservative war party that puts Israel first, that said, yes, we should support even bin Ladenites, even after September 11th, even after Iraq War II, where they killed 4,000 of our guys, of the 4,500 who died in Iraq War II, because they hate the Shiites more. They hate Iran, now Baghdad, Damascus, which is Alawite but allied with Iran, of course, and Hezbollah. That's the neoconservatives' enemy, is the Shiite alliance. But it wasn't Hezbollah that knocked our towers down. That was the bin Ladenites. They weren't sent by Iran, Iraq, or Syria, the axis of evil. They were from our allied states. They hated us because we were too close to Saudi Arabia and Egypt. So here we are. It's America's Sunni alliance versus Iran's Shiite alliance. And America is back on the side of al-Qaeda, and because of the interests of a foreign power. And quite frankly, it's treason. Joe Biden announced he's going to give aid to the new bin Ladenite government in Damascus now, yesterday. It's incredible, but that's the answer. That's why.